absolutely, genuinely pumped and thrilled to be watching. There's nowhere else on the planet that I would rather be right now than watching this match.
Yeah, you mentioned Benetti's physical strength. Just look at Scatizzi's legs. He just looks like a big bull. He's incredibly strong, and he just shows his MMA knowledge right off the bat by having a takedown off of the fence. Let's see if Benetti can reverse the position. I can tell you, Scatizzi is one of the worst people you can have on top. He is one of those guys that is extremely heavy, and he feels heavier than he actually is. And also, he's extremely flexible. He's got a background in karate, and his father used to be a judo. His father used to teach judo, so he's extremely flexible, and I think that helps his wrestling and his grappling in many ways.
Yeah, just looking at the way he was stood there, Daniele Scatizzi looks like he's got lats for calves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Patrick here with the butterfly game. You know, this is really what I think Daniele needs to be doing if he's going to find a submission, which is to spend the first part of the match taking as much of the gas away from Patrick as he possibly can. And one thing that I'm curious about is that takedown. The mats that we have here, they don't provide an enormous amount of protection from the floor. So that was a takedown from quite a high point. Like, I hope Patrick's okay from that impact to the floor. He's deep on a DAS. He's deep on a DAS here. Patrick needs to get his elbow wide. He needs to hand fight tight here. Like, we could be seeing the end of the match before it's even begun because of how deep that DAS grip is. Patrick looks like he knows exactly what he's doing by pushing his back in against the fence and making sure that Daniele cannot lock his hands. That's actually, you know, quite an interesting idea there from Daniele. Maybe he's just showing us a little bit of what his game plan might be.
I like that Patrick was fighting Daniele's left arm and left elbow. That's counterintuitive. Sometimes when you just get an arm wrapped around your neck, you try to fight off that one hand, but the correct thing to do, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, is to defend the other arm, because the other arm is securing the submission, whereas the one that's just around your neck is not the one that's actually doing the choking. The problem is when the hands are locked. And so Patrick was fighting Scatizzi's left hand and left elbow.
That's absolutely phenomenal commentary. You give yourself a stripe, Simone. That's
thank you.
That's spot on. Yeah, absolutely. If you can't lock your hands, then you can't complete the submission. That's why dealing with that secondary hand is always a good option. And actually, you have to have the experience and the confidence to do that, because, you know, your brain tells you this arm around my neck is a problem. Exactly.
Did you catch Daniele Scatizzi just smiling for the cameras while he's just casually controlling an experienced black belt that trained for 3 months in New York?
Yeah, this is again gives you a little insight into Daniele. You know, he's present, he's aware, he's having a good time, and he knows exactly what he wants to do with his life and how to enhance his abilities within combat sports. But he's not going to give up the personality that we all know and love while he's doing so.
Absolutely not. He definitely looks like someone who's going to have fun today, first and foremost. But he's also a fierce competitor, as you can see. He's not letting Patrick have anything right now. He's just smothering him with pressure. Keep in mind, Daniele's last fight ended with an heel hook. He won his last PFL fight with an heel hook, and that should tell you everything you need to know about his grappling level. He was able to win an MMA fight with an heel hook. So in a grappling situation, that could be even better. That could be a sign of even more experience.
Confidence to go for a heel hook. I mean, we've seen some of the best guys in the world, like Gary Tonin and Ryan Hall. These guys who are literally famous. They've written DVDs about their leg locking game, getting TKO'd because they tried something that's maybe inadvisable, and that shows you the flair and the confidence that Daniele has. Now, in this scenario here, Patrick has got a butterfly hook with his left leg, you know, and he's using that to prevent any progression from Daniele. So either Daniele needs to deal with these butterfly hooks here and start to get around and past the guard, or maybe Daniele is just trying to force Patrick to lift him over and over again with those leg extensions in an effort to burn him out and then to get some sort of advantage for the later part of this particular match.
I was just about to ask, do you think Patrick not lifting Daniele with his legs is an attempt of not burning off too much energy trying to lift somebody who's very heavy like Daniele, or is he just stuck on bottom because Daniele has got too much pressure for him?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like, the thing is that there's no need to lift if the guy's not going to make an effort to pass, right? So that shin shield is doing exactly what it says on the tin. It's being a shield, and it's stopping Patrick from having to carry the full weight of Daniele. It's stopping Daniele from being able to pivot and switch. You know, Daniele is going for that dart, and he realized last time that Patrick did a good job of keeping his head to the fence, and that made it quite difficult for him to find that secondary hand that you talked about. And Daniele tried to make an effort to turn him off the fence while attacking that dart again. And this is one of the reasons that any of my students will tell you I despise dart chokes if the opponent has a dart as a guard. And the reason for that is exactly what we see here. Like, Patrick's actually upgraded his grips and has the best chance of the match so far to actually use his guard well. But yeah, going for a dart choke when somebody has half guard is an easy way to lose position, get swept, or it's just even difficult to finish the dart choke.
Look at the strength that both guys are displaying by constantly pummeling with their underhooks. That's just impressive. By Scatizzi, because he's not only a grappler, and by Benetti, because he's the older guy in this fight and he's still resisting Daniele's strength.
Yeah, in the prelim matches at the beginning, what we saw was lots of scrambles. One guy took mount, they reversed the position, they took mount. We saw big battles happening. It doesn't surprise me at all that as you get to this black belt level, as you get to these higher echelons here, we're seeing small battles happening. We're seeing the hand fight happening. These guys have basically been sat here fighting hands to see who can get the best grip, because once they win the hand fight, they could consider, Daniele could consider passing on top, and if Patrick can win the hand fight, then he could consider sweeping from bottom. And it really is that who can get the best grip set. Now, Daniele's got the right idea, because even if he can't get a tap with these types of attack patterns, what he can do is show the judges that that's what he's thinking about.
Exactly. So even having the judges in mind, going for these submission attempts, which have failed so far, and as you said, are even risky, he's showing to the judges that he's able to attack submissions, and he's forcing Benetti to defend. So that's a good strategy for Scatizzi. I don't think cardio is a problem for Scatizzi. I've seen him go 10 5-minute rounds, so I don't think 10 minutes of grappling is a problem to him, but that's an intelligent strategy nonetheless.
I can tell you, you're not going to catch me doing 10 5-minute rounds unless it's with a bunch of white belts.
No, I've seen him go with pros for 10 5-minute rounds. It's been impressive what I've seen him do in the training room.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually quite unassuming. When it came to Bellator, he did his weigh-ins. When he took his t-shirt off, I mean, the guy looks like a physique bodybuilder. It's he really takes his strength and conditioning seriously. What I'd like to see now, though, is maybe some people taking a risk. Maybe see Patrick try and disengage, stand up and wrestle a little bit. This sort of thing, right? Okay, so Daniele would have accepted bottom position there if it had gone wrong, but that head grip allowed him to make something happen. He's got it again. The SBG guys, well known for their guillotines.
That was such a strong grip, and as you said, Liam, the influence of the SBG coaching is full on display in this case, because Daniele is an Italian fighter, but he's been training at SBG for a very long time, for the better part of his career, and I think the improvements in his grappling are just showing off.
Oh, you can't be under John Kavanagh's tuition without improving your grappling. That's where Rafael does most of his training camps as well. And Rafael got his black belt very, very recently in the last two months, and you can see why. A lifetime of tuition from his father, and then obviously that sort of like polishing that comes from being around active pros. Now Daniele here is really like, this is a different phase of the fight. He was stuck against that shin shield for so long, and now he's past the guard. So now I think we might see something happen, because at the higher levels, if you get past someone's guard, you get a chance to attack. And you can see Patrick gets his guard back, which is exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And Daniele's making sure that there's no getting underneath him, no leg locks, being left vulnerable. You can see how heavy Daniele's hips are. And if you're a leg locker, which, I know Patrick's got good leg locks, if the guy's sitting on his hips and you can't get underneath him, you see an inversion as if he's going to try and get on the leg locks. But you can't get underneath your opponent because he's sitting back like that. It can be incredibly frustrating. And if you're used to guys standing up to pass, that's nice to see him transition instead of just going for he's on an arming guillotine. He's on and on. This is tight, man. This is really tight. He's past the guard. He's in mount. Patrick's fighting the hips here. He switches to a regular guillotine. That's really tight. And you've got somebody strong like Daniele on top, squeezing away here.
How is Patrick surviving this attempt? Amazing defense, amazing survival by Patrick Benetti. Amazing. Well-deserved round of applause.
Now, what we can say here is that Daniele has done the more effective grappling so far. He's had the sub attempts. He's certainly had the aggression. You know, great fight, guys. Great fight.
Great fight by both fighters. And I appreciated Patrick's attempt at taking down Daniele Scatizzi against the fence. Good luck to anyone who's trying to take Daniele down against the fence.
I think it perhaps could have been a mistake to try and wrestle with Daniele in the early going. If he'd have pulled guard in the middle of the ring, at least, or middle of the cage, sorry, at least he could have made an attempt to make his guard being stuck against the cage.
I agree.
Daniele Scatizzi!
That's how to play these events, guys. You need to show that aggression, show those submission attempts, and show the effective grappling. The takedown against the cage is the very definition of effective grappling here for Daniele.